Hi everybody, it's Martin from Preact. I'm just going to do a short video on the new Crisis Communications Power App that Microsoft have just released to help companies get through the coronavirus. It's using a lot of the new technology on the Power Platform. We've got Power BI reports, we're using SharePoint lists, we've got a couple of Power Apps set up. We've got the Crisis Communication app that the everyday user is going to be using. And then we've got a nice Crisis Communications admin app, which is where we can then set up company news alerts and things like that, set up some of the feeds and the links that we might need to add into. I'm going to go through a few of those now, and then I'll just show you how some of the technology is going to work from the user's point of view and the admin's point of view, and hopefully then collaboratively working through Teams. If you're already using Teams, we can embed these apps and the Power BI reports in there. It's one nice area then to see everything that's going on in one place. If you're not using Teams, it's certainly something we could help you set up. And I believe Microsoft have also now released a 6 months free license for Teams if you haven't already got it. Most licenses you'll have if you've got Dynamics or some of the Office 365 licenses, you'll be entitled to Teams anyway. It's certainly something we could help with, so get in touch about that if you've got any questions around that. But just diving into the two Power Apps, we've got the Crisis Communication app just over here, which is how the end user is going to be using it. This can be used on an iPhone, a tablet, via the browser like I'm using now, or as I said before, we can embed these into Teams as well. But it's for the end user to share their statuses, make requests, and then look up any other information they might need to see, helpful tips, FAQs, world news coming from an RSS feed, and any of the links that we might be looking at. Show you that in a second. That's all set up and started with the Communication Admin app that we've got in here. So as an administrator, if we need to then set company contacts, we can just come into here. You can see we've got a UK contacts that we might need to contact. If we need to go in here and edit these, we can. We've got Fiona who's working in the US. She's a primary contact there for any queries and questions that we might have. Chris is over here. He's obviously, if you've got any questions about self-isolation or you can't get hold of primary contact, we can contact Chris. Got email addresses, phone numbers, we've got all sorts in there. If we need to add any new contacts in any different regions, we can come down here, create a new contact, you can give it a name, an email address, the country they're residing in, the phone number, and any other contact information that we might need in here. Just by saving that contact will then appear in here. Just go back from this, that's emergency contacts, helpful tips, we can come in here, you can then see we can add any new tips in here as well if we need to. This will then show up as a flow. It will send an email if you want it to, or it can send out an alert into Teams if we need to. And then of course company news. So if I need to set up a new news alert in here, create a new post. So I don't know, office closed for example, details. Just to make you all aware, the Maidenhead office will be closed for the foreseeable, something like that. It would help if I could spell on it. There we go. And then any blurb that you've got in here, we can then save this. So as an administrator, we can go in here, we can then create these company news alerts in here. We just go back. This is where we're going to administrate the apps basically in this one nice area. What you can then see over here on my other screen, I've just got this alert. You can see this is the end user logged in. So this is Fiona now logged in over here. You can see just over here, we just got this office closed alert over here. So we've got office closed, and then there's other sort of company news alerts that we've sent out over here. We've got those in here. If we go into our chats area, into our Teams area, you can see we then have this crisis information team set up. So again, under the posts area, any frequent posts we can then see in here. Any new requests that have been added in here, we can see these as well. And because this Power App's been added, you can see we've then got the ability to go into the Crisis Communication app over here as well. So we've pinned the app up the top here. So this is the end user as Fiona logging in here. We can see in here, look, we can go in and make a request. So if I click make a request, please can I have a new keyboard delivered, something like that, make request. So this will then send a communication request in. If we go back to the home here, what it will actually do, if we click on post then, anybody else looking in this post section will then be able to see this. You can see it comes through here as a new request in here. Equally, this new request can get sent an email to one of the primary managers if we need them to as well. This goes in here. The other thing we can then do when we're in the app is we can set our statuses. So the end user could then say, okay, I need to work from home or I'm going to be absent. We can then share our statuses. All the other information that we saw previously, so the company news, the FAQs, the unique links, we can click into here. We can then see, okay, there's a unique link there, advice for travelers. So we can click into that. We can then see all those details that have been set up. That takes us into whatever links we've physically been set up by the administrators. When we're in here, again, all the other information we can see, the world news has been set up. There's an RSS feed that's been set up in the admin area just to sort of pull through information, any key information that we might need to see in here. But one thing we can then do as the user is to click share status. So if we click in here, we can then say we're out of office or we're working from home. You say, okay, I'm going to be working from home. And then what days? Okay, well, I'm going to be doing it from today right the way through to, say, Monday next week, for example. Oh, come on. From then to then, you can see it blocks me out. I can then click submit. It will load up a brief template for me. Okay, it's going to then say, okay, who do you want to then send this to? If I just pick somebody, I can then search for anyone in the system, might be my manager. Click share to team, and then you can see it will just pull in those information in here. I could set up an automatic reply for people outside my organisation. I can then set up my replies in here as well if I need to. Just by doing so, I can then click submit. This will then go through. I'm not too sure what that error message was. Skip that. What that will do then, that will just go through and then it will send the administrator or the team, whoever we specified to send that to, just sends them a nice email just to say, okay, I will be out of the office on these times and on these dates. Obviously then from here, we've got the ability to then reply to this if we need to, say thanks for that, thanks for letting me know. It's just going to take over Outlook technology. So we can say, brilliant, thanks for letting me know, click on there, and then it will just load up a draft email that we can then send, and that will then send reply to say we've got it basically. Where this then all feeds nicely is if we look over here, we've got a nice Power BI report built around this solution as well. So we can look at on a nice map, people that are out of the office, the ones that are working from home. Over here, then we can see number of people on a given day that are absent or working from home. And that all feeds in nicely into there. And then of course you can see the other Power App over here. This is the admin app. I've embedded this over here. So you don't have to keep going away out of Teams to that app. We can come into it in here. So then you can set up your company news alerts from here, everything else. That's the everyday user app that we're going to have. You can see this will load the admin app in here. There you go. And all the other details that we can feed in here and the admin settings in here. And then obviously we've got that present status report as well. So we've just embedded this Power BI report into Teams as well. So we've got all of these set up and configured in the background. Your users shouldn't really have to go away from Teams. If you're already using this, everything should be feeding into here as well. And you can then see this is a nice presence report. I just needs refreshing. I don't think the values are right. Thanks for listening, guys. If you're really interested in helping with this, there'll be some more information on our blog on the website. And if you needed help setting this up, I'm sure you can contact us and we'll be more than happy to help. Cheers. Bye-bye.